Do we have a guest?
Well, hello there, and welcome to this week's edition of the Neuse Sports Show. I am Brian Hanks. I'm your co-host for this little joyride we do every week here on Neuse News and NeuseNews.com and your favorite Facebook Live broadcast of all time, right?
Let's go with that.
Absolutely. His name, I don't even know why I even need to introduce you, because everybody in Lenoir County and Greene County and Pitt County and Jones County and where's Fayetteville? That's in Cumberland County, right?
That is Cumberland.
Cumberland County, all over eastern North Carolina. They know who Junius Smith III is. How are you doing, Junius?
I'm doing wonderful, man. How about yourself?
I am. I'm so good. I don't know. I mean, first off, we've got to show my Washington Nationals. Go ahead. Help me out here.
He came out here. He brought two hats, and I said I was going to wear one of them.
Wait. Let me move the mic. See? Nats. My Nationals. I hope you had a chance last night to watch America's team, the Washington Nationals, make their way into the National League Divisional or the National League Championship Series, or is it Divisional Series?
No, it's the Divisional Series.
See, I'm so old, I don't remember which one, but all I know is they won. Did you see the game last night?
I didn't see the game, but I did catch highlights on your Snapchat and how excited you and Scott Whittington and everybody else was.
Man, that was awesome. And so anyway, but we're here to talk about football, though, right?
Right.
So I'm going to have to hold down my giddiness, right?
You can get giddy after the show. How about that?
Very good. Also, we've got to say this, too. On our way over here today, we're listening on Sirius XM, and BJ Murphy just walked in here, by the way, and he got our attention. Say hey to BJ. Hey, BJ. Drew Loftus was on Sirius XM.
Find out.
Former Kinston sports editor and now works for the New York Post. He was on Sirius XM on their fantasy sports channel. How crazy is that? That
is unbelievable. And you know what? It shows that there's a lot of great people and a lot of great things that come out of Kinston, North Carolina.
Absolutely. So, hey, see, now I said that, so now I can tag Drew on this, and he'll watch it, and I'll say, dude, I talked about you. And then I'm going to get mad when he was on Sirius XM nationwide and didn't talk about me.
You know what? That's terrible. I mean, Drew, you got to reciprocate, please.
What kind of friend are you? Anyway, you are here to watch the Neuse Sports Show, where we talk about all the high school games that took place last week. We have a special guest that's going to be in the middle of the show. It's Ryan Diesel Gieselman. I went to Kinston High School and sat down with him, and we have an interview with him that you're going to be able to watch here in a little bit. And then after that, me and my good friend Junius Smith III, we are going to preview all of Friday night's games. And on top of that, we're going to talk about our picks. And I know you're really looking forward to talking about our picks, aren't you, Junius?
Moving on. Matter of fact, let's just go to the sponsors real quick.
Let's do that real quick. Why don't you go first tonight, young man?
All right. I'll go ahead and start with Lenoir Community College. Their Quick Jobs program provides training so you can get to work in less than 6 months. And because LCC partners with area employers, you can not only find a job, but a new lifelong career. Jobs currently in demand include heating, ventilation, air conditioning, electrical wiring, energy distribution systems, manufacturing, truck driver training, and welding. Tuition assistance may be available as well as nationally recognized credentials. It's a new year and a new you, so please let LCC empower you to get the job and career you've always wanted. To learn about Quick Jobs, call 252-527-6223, extension 714, or enroll at lenoircc.edu/quickjobs.
And when you finish doing that, call KC Crop Insurance. They're here to serve all your crop insurance needs with more than 50 years of combined experience. They take pride in excellent customer service. Give the KC Crop Insurance Service Team a call at 252-522-9613. What's that number? It's 252-522-9613, and tell them that Junius Smith, Brian Hanks, and Neuse News sent you.
Also, you got to talk about Saturday's SM3 Summit.
It is the SM3 Summit. If you are an entrepreneur, a social media manager, or a marketing professional, you need to be at the SM3 Social Media Summit. It's in Kinston this weekend.
Listen, there are going to be speakers from across the state who will talk about how to go viral with your videos, how to sell, how to market your brand, create a social media calendar, and so much more.
Absolutely. Go to sm3summit.com. That's sm3summit.com. So be sure to check that out. And then the Neuse newsletter. And hey, listen, we're judging. Are you judging?
Oh, without question.
If you have not yet subscribed to the Neuse newsletter,
what's wrong with you?
What is wrong with you? How easy is it to do?
All you have to do is go to neusenews.com, hit the subscribe button, and at 7 a.m. you will get an update from all the stories across the area.
That's all you have to do. All you need to do is go to neusenews.com to subscribe. You go there, go to the top of the page like my good friend just told you. You hit the button. You get the email every morning. It's that easy. How much does it cost you, Junius Smith?
Absolutely nothing.
What percentage of those stories do you write, Junior Smith?
I have no idea. It's a pretty good percentage.
It's probably about 80%. So if you want to read Junior Smith III, an award-winning writer, then you need to subscribe to the Neuse newsletter. Let's look at the games that were played last week, and Junius is going to tell us a little bit about them, and I will tell you about the game that I was at. But let's get the games that you were at, dude. And you were at the Washington at Kinston game, which to me, one of the biggest upsets in our area, if not the biggest upset in our area. Washington goes into Kinston last week. It was the first game of the Eastern Carolina 2A race, and the Pam Pack escaped Kinston with a 27-14 win.
The thing about it was not as much of an upset as people want to say. Washington is a very, very good team, and they showed it. Their only loss was to Tarboro, and come on, that's Tarboro.
Yeah, Tarboro's a heck of a team. Let me tell you something. I think Tarboro would beat all but maybe 4 or 5 4A teams. So, I mean, they're a heck of a program.
Without question. Washington, they controlled the ball. I believe it's Terry Moore that had 31 carries, 209 yards rushing. He was able to control the pace for the entire game. It was great to see Dimitri Holmes out there for Kinston, but I know the Vikings were dealing with a few injuries, a couple of suspensions. Just talking to Coach Gieselman after the game, he said that there were a lot of distractions last week, and that really wound up trickling down to the field. So.
In the interview that you're getting ready to watch here in a couple of minutes, had a chance to talk to Coach Gieselman about that too. And that's one of the things that he said, Junius, was that with all the distractions and with Dimitri Holmes, who's a quarterback, and we just think is going to be one of the best quarterbacks to come, in my opinion, it's come through here in a long, long time. And we've had good quarterbacks come through Kinston and Lenoir County. You get tentative with injuries. You get hurt. And I've never played even on the level of what Kinston High School is in football, but I have played with injuries before, just pick up basketball or something. And you think about it. Think about when you've twisted your ankle or, maybe you've sprained your foot or something, and that first time you get back out there playing, aren't you thinking about it?
You definitely are. And I mean, definitely in the flow of a game, adrenaline can kind of get you to forget about it for a play or two, but sometimes it is going to come up. And like I said, despite the circumstances, Dimitri played pretty well.
That's what I heard too. But it's put him behind the 8 ball, though. I mean, this is a team that the media picked and that the coaches picked to win Eastern Carolina 2A. And when you come out of the gate 0-1, put you behind the 8 ball, doesn't it?
It also shows how good this conference really is because, we talked about Aiden Griffin, we talked about Kinston, we talked about West Craven, but nobody really said that much about Washington. And in this case, they showed that they had the ability.
Well, the game of the week, in my opinion, in the area last week, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but was North Lenoir and Green Central. Green Central traveled to Wheat Swamp. They played at North Lenoir, and the Hawks came out with a 22-8 victory, which makes North Lenoir now 6-0, first time in program history. 6 wins in a row. That's only the second time it's ever happened, and the last time it happened, I was only 7 months old.
That really says a lot.
And when I look around this room and look around the studio and everything, nobody else was born then except for me and Linda. Congratulations, Linda. And we were the only ones that were born then. So, I mean, when you think that you've tied a record that's been going on since 69 and 70, what a great job. But the game itself, man, North and North showed me something last week, Junius. I mean, it was 8-8 at halftime. Then coming out of halftime, the Hawks they held the Rams to nothing. I mean, I think they held them to about 40 yards of offense in the second half. 2 first downs in the second half altogether. Just a great job that the Hawks did in improving to 6-0 last week.
The thing is, a lot of people looked at their record against some of the teams in their non-conference schedule and said, well, North Lenoir hasn't played anybody.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people, Green Central was definitely going to be the measuring stick to see how good the Hawks were or how good they weren't. And North Lenoir certainly proved themselves.
And I'm telling you, they've got a test this week, but we'll be getting to that in a little bit. Let's quick hit these last 3 games that were played last week because they really weren't that good. Okay, our good friends down south of the river at South Lenoir, they traveled to Vanceboro to take on West Craven. And unfortunately, West Craven squeaked by with a 45-0 win.
Like I said, the Eagles are good.
They are very good. Halifax and Bethel played. Bethel was shorthanded. You and I had a chance last week to talk about the situation that Bethel was in last week with 3 suspended players from the fight that happened the week before that in a game that they forfeited. They traveled to Halifax. They lose 70-48.
Now, from what I was told, Keith Spence was at that game, and they actually had a running clock, I want to say in the third quarter, where even though it was a relatively close game, Bethel Christian didn't have enough players out there. They were also dealing with injuries.
Wow, that's crazy. And then the final game of the night last week was Pinetown Northside and Jones Senior, and Northside escapes with a 63-0 win.
Last year, the score was 22-20 Northside, but I think the Panthers were ready for this one.
They absolutely were. Now, we do need to let you know, if you're watching this live right now, and we hope you are, at 4:46 on Wednesday, we've got a game that's coming up here in about an hour and a half or so?
Yeah, and I'm actually going to it.
And that's Green Central at North Pitt. Very good. So if you want to find out what happens in that game, if you're watching this on tape delay, and if you are, we're not judging you. Now, we're judging you if you're not subscribing to the Neuse newsletter, right?
Right.
But if you're not watching this live, we're not judging you. But be sure to go to Neuse News later on Wednesday, and you'll be able to see how bad Green Central defeated North Pitt.
Hopefully.
Was that good? Very good. That was good, right? Okay, very good. Listen, Jay Wilson, no pressure there, right? I mean, we're expecting you to go to Bethel, North Carolina, come away with a big win against the Panthers, right?
Right. I'm looking for a running clock.
There you go. Absolutely. So we are right now going to segue into a video or an interview that I shot with Kinston head football coach Ryan Gieselman yesterday. I think I shot it yesterday afternoon. So please enjoy this, and when this is over, we'll come back. You'll get our predictions. You'll get talking about all the games that will be taking place this Friday night here on the Neuse News Sports Show. Welcome back to the Neuse News Sports Show. Brian Hanks here with Kinston head football coach Ryan Gieselman. His Vikings are going to be trying to win back this cup again, the Jimmy Smith Cup, on Friday night down at South Lenore High School. How you doing tonight, today, Coach?
Doing well.
Thank you so much for joining us here on the show. And, Coach, before we even talk about last week's game, before we talk about this week's game, this cup right here, what does it mean to you? What does it mean to your players? What does it mean to the Kinston football program?
Oh, it means a lot. I mean, we're definitely excited about the new name it got last year and fortunate to win it. And it's definitely something we look forward to defending through the next couple of weeks playing South and North Lenore.
And just to let people know, if you don't know what the Jimmy Smith Cup is, it's been awarded every year since 2005 to the best high school football program, public high school football program in Lenore County. South Lenore won it its first year, and I'm going to have to look here. And then in 2016, North Lenore won it. Kinston has won it every single year since then, though, or all those other years in the middle there, Coach. A lot of those where you've been the head coach or an assistant coach. Is this something that you have to build up to the kids when you talk to them that, hey, it's important, not just to win a piece of hardware, but beating these teams that are right here in our own county?
No, that's not something we have to build up. I mean, you get bragging rights for the whole entire year. And, like I've said before, we're fortunate to have a coach that actually played at South Lenore who played for this, and we have a coach, the same coach actually coached at North Lenore, playing against us for this and actually beat us and won it in 2016. So he kind of shares his experiences, as a player and as a coach and what it means to those programs. They also, help reiterate what we're trying to do here at, at Kinston and to get ready for the Jimmy Smith Cup.
You're a young pup. I mean, you weren't here when Coach Smith was coaching. I wasn't even here when he was coaching football. I was here when he was coaching basketball. But what are some of the things that you've heard about Coach Smith through some of the older coaches here within Kinston High School?
I mean, just a legend, a great man, family man, who was always about family and made things about family, and a great leader and motivator. And that's definitely something we look at. As a staff, we look at playing for this trophy right here, and we kind of want to mirror that to our guys.
I know I harped on it a lot last year, and I could tell you're a good dude, but I could tell it was starting maybe to get on your nerves a little bit when I kept every week saying, you're one game away, you're 2 games away from becoming the all-time winningest coach in Lenore County history, and the man that you had to pass to do that was Coach Smith himself. I swear this is going to be the last time I ask you this question. What did it mean to you that you are, throughout the state of North Carolina, they know you are the winningest coach in Lenore County history, Coach?
It's a special moment. Like I said, to have a man with the trophy named after him, and you guys got me at the basketball game, during the year. That was a special moment to have him there and present me with that plaque. Like I said, for everything he stands for, to be able to say, be in that same category with him, it is very special.
Well, I love the man. I don't even try to hide that. He's a role model, and he's been an example to people in Lenore County for 40 years. So let's switch to let's look at last week's game a little bit, Coach. Not the result that you wanted, a home loss to Washington, but tell us a little bit about that game and just speak to how good the Eastern Carolina 2A is this year, Coach.
I mean, first off, I'll say, I say it a lot is that the Eastern Carolina 2A is the toughest, conference 2A conference in the state of North Carolina. You're going to be tested every week. You'll be ready for the playoffs. And, Washington's a program that's been on the up. They had a group they kept together for the last 2 years on JV. They actually won a JV conference championship last year, and now they're up on varsity now with some senior leadership and putting together a good run. I mean, they're 5-1 now and moving on, trying to make a run in the conference. And they did some good things, but we had some mental lapses. We didn't capitalize on some small things, and things didn't work out in our favor on Friday night.
Losing that game last week, how much of a hole does that put you? I mean, I know it's very important. I mean, this is an important thing to you, the Jimmy Smith Cup. Winning the conference championship, what you guys did last year, is very important to you. How much of a hole does that put you in heading into this week's game, Coach?
I mean, there's a sense of urgency. We've got to go. We got to put our our whatever you want to call it, our me attitude to the side. And we got to be we. And I think we made a good step forward, so far this week going into practice and whatnot. And look forward to taking a step forward on Friday night.
How much did injuries play into last week's game? I know that, of course, I mean, you're asked this a lot. I'm asked this a lot. I'm not even part of your program, but everybody wants to know about Dimitri Holmes and his health. How much did that play into last week, and how healthy is he going into this week's game at South Lenore?
I don't think it necessarily is Dimitri's health. It's just him, coming back from the injury, trusting it, being a little rusty. Just getting back in the flow of things. He actually had 2 weeks of practice going into Farmville, so that kind of helped him out. That's why he looked so polished going into the Farmville game and, carried over to North Pitt and just, he's kind of behind the 8 ball, but we're working on that now. And, each day he's building more and more confidence and, he's ready to go.
You guys, a big game this week at South Lenore High School, a program that really has been playing better. I mean, they've played, I'm not saying this in an insulting way, I'm saying it in a complimentary way, from a program that's playing probably at a 200 level. They're now playing at a 500 level over their last 8 or 9 games. So, baby steps. I mean, South Lenore is getting better. What have you seen? I mean, and in your opinion, I mean, you've had a chance to see them on film all week getting ready for this game on Friday night. Are they better than they were last year when you played them?
Oh, no doubt about that. Every year Coach Joyner's been there. They've done nothing but get better. They've got good skill. They're definitely always going to have linemen up front. They got a quarterback back there that can stand in there and throw it, and he's got the capabilities of running. And like I said, they're multiple on offense, they're multiple on defense, and when you got to prepare for a lot, it makes we can practice a little bit tougher. And like I said, I mean, you got to be ready to go on Friday night.
I'm saying this in a complimentary way. I hope you don't take it as an insult, but I've got to ask. One of the things I've noticed about you, covering you for the last, 6 years as head coach, and even knew you before when you were an assistant coach, you hate to lose, don't you? And I mean, I see it in your face. I see it and not that you're a worse person when you lose, but I mean, you can just say you take it personal, and your coaching staff takes it personal when you guys lose a game, don't you?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. That's one thing we've all reflected on over the weekend. It's definitely a motivating force to find a way to get better, to get everybody on the same page. And it's one of the great things about coaching. It's a very humbling experience, and it definitely gives you a light to that fire. Hey, like I said, we got to play with a sense of urgency for the rest of the year, and that's definitely, I think, got our kids fired up this week.
Well, very good. Well, what do you guys have to do well this week in Deep Run to come away with a win and improve to 1-1 in the conference, Coach?
We got to play as one, and we got to take care of the small things, and that's something we've teetered with it a little bit. We've got to put it together though, and we got to put it all together and then build on it for the rest of the year.
Well, very good. Ryan Diesel-Gieselman, head football coach here at Kinston High School, taking on South Lenore this week. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Neuse Sports Show, Coach.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Welcome back to the Neuse Sports Show. Hope you enjoyed that little interview with Ryan Diesel-Gieselman from Kinston High School. And you could hear it in his voice there, Junius. They're frustrated. They were very frustrated with that loss. Again, a game that you covered last week. You were there on the field. You were there in the stadium. Why did Kinston lose that game last week?
Simply put, they weren't disciplined. I
Okay.
mean, not only, we talk about the distractions that occurred throughout the week, but on the field they had, I want to say, 11 penalties, and that's something that you really cannot have if you're going to be a top-tier team, especially if you're trying to get a conference title.
And he said exactly what you and I were talking about earlier. They are in desperation mode now. And maybe that's what they needed, was just, that little smack in the face that, listen, you're now 0-1. You're the team that was picked to win the conference. You have to win the rest of your games out if you want to think about having a chance to win the conference title, right?
Without question. I know they're gonna have a laser-like focus when they play South Lenore on Friday, and they'll just take it one game at a time. That's usually been a staple of Coach Gieselman.
Absolutely. So, anyway, let's look at this week's games. And first, let's look at tonight's game, a game that you're going to be going to here in just a little bit. Green Central at North Pitt. That game is here in just a little bit. Tell us a little bit about, I know Jay Wilson and Green Central, they're smarting a little bit after coming off that loss at North Lenore on Friday night. But they play tonight. They're off until next week. They don't play this Friday night. They're off until next Friday, so they're going to have a 9-day break or whatever after that. How ready is Green Central to play this non-conference game against the Panthers?
They're definitely going to be ready because North Pitt, even though their record is 1-4, they are not a team that you can really play around with. They had a one-score game at halftime against Washington before losing. They had a one-score game against Kinston before losing. They had a one-score game against somebody else. I want to say South Central. You know, I was talking to Lyke a little earlier about that, and they just beat East Wake by 4 in a game that they were actually down by 12 with 5 minutes to play. So,
well, and you got to think, and I know East Wake, I don't think they've won a game yet this year.
They haven't.
But they're a 4A program.
Well, they're a 3A program.
Or 3A program. So, I mean, you're still talking about a program that's based in Wake County that's getting Raleigh athletes, and for North Pitt to defeat them, that's a pretty good win, isn't it?
So, without question. So, North Pitt, they're definitely going to be ready to play, and if Green Central isn't careful, it could be rough for them.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a look at the games. That tells you about tonight's game, the Green Central at North Pitt game. Let's take a little look at the games that are going to be taking place on Friday night, and they are all at 7 o'clock, if I'm correct.
I believe so, yes.
Very good. The first game, it's the first game. You heard us talking to Ryan Diesel-Giesman about the Jimmy Smith Cup. They are going to be playing for the first leg of the Jimmy Smith Cup when Kinston travels to South Lenore to take on the Blue Devils. Kinston is 3-3 overall. They're 0-1 in the Eastern Carolina 2A. South Lenore is 2-3 overall. They're 0-1 in the conference. You know, both of them are coming off losses last week. And as for the series that they're playing each other, Kinston has won 15 of the 16 matchups, including the last 13 in a row. They beat them last year 45-0. The only game that South Lenore has ever won, ironically, was the first game for the Jimmy Smith Cup. That was back in 2005, and South Lenore defeated. They didn't just defeat Kinston. They shut out Kinston 28-0 that night, Junius.
Wow.
Exactly. What are you anticipating Friday night?
I'm anticipating South Lenore to put up a fight. I feel like there's going to be a little bit of a resistance early on, but Kinston, they're still upset about what happened against Washington, and I feel like they're going to come out and be ready to play.
I know. We're going to get to our picks in a little bit, and I can't wait to talk about our picks.
Whatever.
But, yeah, I mean, listen, you and I, we're ardent supporters of everybody within our county here. So, I mean, we don't have favorites when it comes to Kinston, North Nor, South Nor, Parrott, Bethel, any of the teams in our area. But we also have to speak the truth, and we'll get to that in a little bit when we get to our picks. So our next game, I got to tell you, I know Kinston and South Lenore, that is the game that is going to be the first leg of the Jimmy Smith Cup. However, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, Junior Smith III. I think the game in Eastern North Carolina is going to be in Little Washington when North Lenore, 6-0 overall, 1-0 in the Eastern Carolina 2A, travels to the Pam Pack. And listen, Washington is 5-1 overall. They're 1-0 after that. Well, I was about to say upset, but after that victory at Kinston last week. So you've got two teams that before the season began, if I had told you when North Lenore travels to Washington, they'll be a combined 11-1, 2-0 in the conference, you'd have had me drug tested, wouldn't you?
Easily. Like, I go pull out the cup right now. But
So tell me a little bit about what are you anticipating? I believe you're covering this game, aren't you, the North Lenore Washington game?
if you can believe it or not, I'm not. I'll tell you the game that I'll be covering later on. But
why are you not covering that game?
I'll get to it later.
Okay, very good. But North Lenore Washington, what are you not a prediction, but what are you anticipating in that game Friday night?
I'm anticipating a defensive one because both teams they can play very well. They both want to control the action. They want to control time of possession. And to be honest, the winner of this game is going to be whoever was really physical at the line of scrimmage. And
isn't it crazy? Coming out of that game, that's going to be the team that's going to be undefeated in the conference. And I know there was one more 1-0 team in the conference, but we're talking about West Craven, who also won their 1-0. But they're going to be 2-0 and in control of their own destiny in the league.
Without question, it's going to be something crazy to see.
A team that was picked to finish fourth, Washington. A team that was picked to finish last in the conference, North Lenoir, battling for first place in the conference in the second week of the season. I love it. That's why we love high school sports, isn't it?
This is arguably the craziest conference in North Carolina.
I love it. I love it. Our next game in our neck of the woods, and this is people are gonna be a little bit shocked at what we're getting ready to say. Parrott Academy is 3-2 overall. They traveled to Raleigh Grace Christian. They're 4-1, and Parrott has just owned Grace Christian. They've only played 4 times ever before Friday night, and Parrott has just dominated them. They've beat them by an average of like 41 points a game. 41 points a game. This is not the same Grace Christian, is it? They're 4-1. Parrott is 3-2. What are you anticipating?
First off, this is the game I'm actually going to.
You're going to Raleigh.
The reason why I'm doing that is because the game is on Friday. My birthday is Saturday. I want to be able to ring it in going to Dave & Buster's.
So you're going to be 21. You'll be able to drink now, right? 21?
And I won't be, but I mean, like, I'll be 31, y'all. So.
Can you believe he's 31? I can't either. It's crazy. How good is Grace Christian?
You know, Grace Christian, they're a much stronger team than they have been in previous years. And Parrott, they've gone from a spread offense to more of a ground and pound offense. So having a conversation with Coach Matt Beeman, he said that, you know, they want to control time of possession, kind of like what I was saying with North Lenoir and Washington. And they've got 2 very physical guys in Trey McLaughlin and Blake Smith that can do that for them.
Another very big game, and it's in the Eastern Carolina 2A. Well, that takes care of all the teams that are in Lenoir County. Now, Bethel is off Friday night, and I'll let you expound on that a little bit more. They were supposed to play Wilson Community Christian. However, Wilson had to cancel that game because they didn't have enough players. And they were, I think Wilson's like 0-5 or something like that, 0-2 in the league. It would have been a mismatch anyway, wouldn't it?
Without question. And you know what? It's really tough when it comes to 8-man football because there are some teams, particularly in the 1A division, that they have trouble being able to fill teams. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why you see teams combined like Northeast Hobgood Academy, and then you had Wayne Christian and Goldsboro Homeschool.
Exactly. But the 2 other games that are taking place in our area outside of Lenoir County that we consider part of our team, don't we?
Without question.
Is Aiden Grifton. West Craven is 3-2 overall. They're 1-0 in the Eastern Carolina 2A. They are traveling to Little Hollywood to take on Aiden Grifton, who is 4-0. This will be their first Eastern Carolina 2A game. And I tell you what, though, let me just say this. They've played the last 4 years. West Craven has won every single one of them, and they seem to have Aiden Grifton's number. What is your analysis of that series?
You know what? West Craven has always been a very, very good program, and Aiden Grifton, they're no slouches either. I mean, we always talk about their long postseason streak. This is the one for Aiden Grifton. It's their homecoming. Yeah. So.
Whoa! They scheduled West Craven for their homecoming.
Crazy, right?
That is very crazy.
So they've got a lot. They've got a lot on the table, and to be honest, this would be the game of the week, in my opinion.
Really, even more than North Lenoir, Washington.
I mean. If we're
talking,
wait
a minute. Are y'all hearing that in Wheat Swamp? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, if we're talking strictly Lenoir County, then without question, North Lenoir, Washington.
Yeah.
If we're talking about the ECC in general, this is a matchup between two heavyweights. So, I don't know.
Very good. And then the last game in our neck of the woods is Williamston Riverside at Jones Senior. Riverside is 2-4. They're 0-1 in the conference. Jones Senior is 0-6, 0-1. Trojans are on a 28-game losing streak.
I'm hoping that Jones Senior is able to break through, and that's really all I can say.
Absolutely. Let's we're down to our last couple of minutes here. Let's talk about our picks last week.
Let's not.
This guy with 2 thumbs pointing at him went 4-1 last week. The only game that I missed last week was the Kinston game. What was your record? Wait a minute. Can we get a close up on Junius's face right now? What was your record last week, Junius?
2-3, all right.
He was 2-3. That means your boy is 21-6 overall for the season. Wait a minute. I want you to read that. What is Junius so far?
Hey, look, I still got a winning record. Okay, I go 5th in the East.
There you go. He is 17-10 for the season. That means the old guy that has to use a cane to get around and everything, and has to have his food all mushed up for him before he eats it. Has a 4-game lead now on my man Junius Smith III. So let's look at this week's picks and let's make them real quick here. Kinston travels to South Lenoir. Who you got in that game?
I got Kinston.
I've got Kinston also. I think I think it's going to be a tough game for South Lenore, and it's not because of South Lenore. Kinston's mad. You saw in that interview with Diesel.
Yeah.
Kinston is legit mad, and it's nothing against Jeremy Joyner, nothing against the Blue Devils. But I'm telling you, Kinston is going to they're going to take out some frustrations, I think, on South Lenore Friday night.
Like I said, I feel like it'll be close early on, but Kinston, they're just going to pound through.
Very good. To me, I forget what Junia says. To me, the game of the night in Eastern North Carolina is North Lenore at Washington. We already talked about that game earlier. But please don't be mad at me, Coach Collins. Please don't be mad at me, Ms. Coach. Please don't be mad at – screw it. I'm taking North Lenore. Go Hawks!
Okay. Okay, you know what? Fine, I'll be the bad guy.
Okay.
I'm going Washington, but it is not going to be easy. And I mean, literally, this is a coin flip. I had to flip a coin beforehand. Heads was North Lenore, tails was Washington, and tails won out.
What am I doing right here? Tell them what I'm doing right here on my computer.
He actually had Washington down, and then he said, "You know what? I'm going to go ahead and switch it to North Lenore."
I just changed it to North Lenore. Listen, who's winning this year in the picks? This guy. So North Lenore, you're going to do it Friday night. Very excited about that. Parrott Academy travels to Grace. That's the game you're covering. I've got Parrott winning that.
I'm going with Parrott as well.
Very good. West Craven at Aiden Grifton, and what Junior Smith III says is the game of the week in Eastern North Carolina. I'm going to AG with this guy. I think they're going to break that 4-year losing streak against the Eagles. I think Aiden Grifton's going to win.
You know what? I'm going to have to agree with you. I feel like the Chargers, they're well rested, and they'll be ready to play, particularly on homecoming. If they can avoid the distractions, they'll be just fine.
And I think you'll agree with me on this. You give Paul Cornwell 2 weeks to prepare for a team, and that's what he's had now getting ready for West Craven. Best coach in our area, and no disrespect to any of our other coaches. Paul Cornwell is best. He's the coach of the East-West team. So I'm telling you, Paul Cornwell, I'm trusting in you. We both are. Aiden Grifton beating West Craven. Let's hit these last two real quick. Or it's actually just last one. Green Central at North Pitt tonight.
Right.
I'm picking Green Central.
I'm going with the Rams.
And Riverside at Jones Senior.
I got to go Riverside on this one.
Very good. Let's hit these ads one more time. Thank you so much to our sponsors for sponsoring the Neuse News Sports Show. KC Crop Insurance. They're here to serve all your crop insurance needs with more than 50 years of combined experience. They take pride in excellent customer service. Give the KC Crop Insurance Service Team a call at 252-522-9613. What was that number? 252-522-9613. Tell them Junia Smith III, Brian Hanks, and Neuse News sent you.
Hey, we take pride in excellent community service too.
Yes, we do.
Excuse me, customer service, community service too. But
Community service too.
okay, let's go to LCC. Lenore Community College's Quick Jobs program provides training so you can get to work in less than 6 months. And because LCC partners with area employers, you can not only find a job, Brian Hanks, but a new lifelong career.
I've been looking for one.
Okay. Jobs currently in demand include heating, ventilation and air conditioning, electrical wiring, energy distribution systems, manufacturing, truck driver training, and welding. Tuition assistance may be available as well as nationally recognized credentials. It's a new year and a new you.
Is it a new me?
A new you as well.
Okay, very good.
So let LCC empower you to get the job and career you've always hoped for. To learn about Quick Jobs, call 252-527-6223, extension 714, or enroll at lenorecc.edu/quickjobs.
If you are an entrepreneur, a social media manager, or a marketing professional, you absolutely need to be at the SM3 Social Media Summit. It's in Kinston on Saturday, and I know there are very few remaining seats that are left for that. So if you want to be a part of it, you need to get hold of BJ Murphy and Aletha Thrower and all the folks up here at Neuse News and do that, ASAP. They're going to have speakers from across the state who are going to talk about how to go viral with your videos, how to sell, how to market your brand, creating a social media calendar, and much, much more. Where do they go, Junia Smith III?
SM3summit.com.
And that's where you can go to register and tell them about the Neuse newsletter.
Listen, if you haven't subscribed to it, I really don't know how you found this program, but in case that hasn't been the case, all you got to do is just go to neusenews.com, click the subscribe button, and at 7 a.m. you will get the storylines for the entire day.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we are wrapping this week's show up. We cannot do this again without our sponsors, so thank you so much to our sponsors for helping us put this on every week. But the man in the tower, the person that makes us all look good, well, he makes you look good. I think he puts like things on my face to make me look weird. But Dr. Travis Town, he's the executive producer of the show. He's back there. Najee Cobb is also back there. Thank you so much to Najee. And you can see them. They're on your screen right now. Wave, guys. See, there they are.
Najee, where you? Okay,
there he is. Of course, BJ Murphy, Aletha Thrower, Brandon Potter, everybody Be sure to, or thank you so much to them for helping produce this show. Be sure to use hashtag Neuse Scores on during tonight's game. You can find out everything of the scores by following Junior Smith III tonight. And then on Friday night, if you want to know any of those scores, then you just, if you use hashtag Neuse Scores, you'll be able to find that out. But the most important thing to me, Thursday night, the first game of the NLDS, the Washington Nationals at Los Angeles Dodgers. Let's go Nats. Thank you so much for watching this week's edition of the Neuse Sports Show. We'll see you back next Wednesday at 4:30 here on Facebook Live. And thank you for watching the Neuse Sports Show. Go Nats.